Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Hello again. Thanks to all of you who kindly contributed to the Hall's museum, showcase games and scholarships programs. Also, just a reminder that our silent auction is now closed. You can check on your bids at the auction table at the end of our ceremonies and claim your Hall of Fame collectible stalls in the lobby when you exit. This is also a good time in our program to recognize a number of Hall of Fame honorees who have joined us for this special evening. Please welcome Pete Demers, here all the way from the California coast. Please welcome Tim Army. Joe Augustine. Bob Belmore. Bill Bennett. Brian Burke. Joe Kavanaugh. Paul Gay. Tom Mellor. And Tim Regan. Also with us tonight are the families of Hall of Famers Zelio Topazzini, Bill Belisle, Bill Thayer, and Judge James E. Dooley. Welcome all. You should also know that many of the featured items on our auction table were contributed by Hall of Fame honorees David Quinn, Tim Army, and John Hines. Before we begin our formal Hall of Fame inductions, we have a special greeting from a Rhode Islander on the Mount Rushmore of Hockey Halls of Fame everywhere, my old boss and Johnston, Rhode Island's own, Lou Lamoriello.
Congratulations to this exceptional class into the Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame. What a class. I've had the honor and the pleasure to know each and every one of you on a personal basis as well as professional, and I just can't say enough about that relationship that I was privileged to have.
Bill Army, a member of one of the all-time great hockey families, born and raised in Rhode Island. Ross Brooks, an all-star goalie with the Rhode Island Reds, a great friend, and a cherished member of the Rhode Island community. Buster Clay was such an integral part of the Rhode Island Reds and keeping professional hockey in Rhode Island for so many years. And lastly, and certainly not least, to the families of Bob O'Connor and Tom Woodcock, two special individuals who were a part of my career as well as great personal friends. Tom Woodcock, who began as a trainer with the Rhode Island Reds and went on to being one of the all-time great trainers in the National Hockey League, and who I had the honor of working with at World Cups and Olympics. Finally, my former college roommate, Bob O'Connor. If you could only picture this, I'm 17 years old, and my roommate was Bob O'Connor, who was 24 years old. Bob came back from serving our country, back to school, and a friendship began. He became an integral part of the success we had at Providence, helping us get many players from Minnesota for many, many years. Special congratulations to the O'Connor family and the Woodcock family.
What a fantastic night for hockey in Rhode Island and these great people.
Thank you, Lou. Our first Hall of Fame inductee of the night comes from one of Rhode Island's most famous and heralded hockey families. A star center iceman, he led his hometown East Providence High School team to the Rhode Island and New England championships in the mid-'70s before earning All-America honors at Boston College and a notable pro career. This is his hockey journey.
Bill Army. Bill Army was born in East Providence on September 11, 1957. He is the fourth member of one of Rhode Island's most famous hockey families to be honored by the Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame, following his grandfather and famed Rhode Island Reds trainer George Army, his father Tom, and younger brother Tim. Growing up, Billy's older brother, Tom Jr., himself a hockey star at Wesleyan University, needed someone to shoot at. So Billy started his hockey journey in goal. Later, after giving up the pads and switching to forward, Bill starred in hockey programs of both the Edgewood and East Providence Youth Hockey Associations. He went on to become a three-time All-State selection at his hometown East Providence High School, playing with the likes of Ron, Brad, and Randy Wilson. In 1975, he led the Interscholastic League in scoring and the Townies to both the Rhode Island State and New England Championship titles, before accepting a scholarship to play with the Boston College Eagles. A crafty center and prolific scorer, Bill scored 64 goals over his NCAA career, earning All-American honors in 1980 while serving up assists to future NHL great and U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer Joe Mullen. Together, they led their team to the 1978 NCAA championship game. In his senior year, Bill spearheaded the Eagles to a school record for most wins and a #1 ranking for most of the season. He was voted team MVP that year and also earned All-American, All-East, and All-New England honors. Bill was the recipient of the Walter Brown Award as the best American-born player in New England college hockey. After graduating, Bill signed with the Rochester Americans of the American Hockey League, where he split time with the Amerks and the Port Huron Flags, ringing up an impressive 15 goals and 25 assists over his debut season. Bill wrapped up his professional career in 1982 as the top American player with the International Hockey League's Flint Generals. Like his father and brothers, Bill entered the coaching ranks after retirement, most notably at the Pomfret School in Connecticut, alongside another Rhode Island hockey legend and Brown Hall of Famer, Don Eccleston. Bill was inducted into the Boston College Varsity Hall of Fame in 1986 and the East Providence High School Hall of Fame in 2005.
Please welcome 2025 Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame inductee Bill Army. Presenting Bill with his Hall of Fame medallion are his sister Beth and his brothers Tom Army Jr. and Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Famer Tim Army.
We say it loud 'cause we're Rhody proud. We call your name to the Hall of Fame. We call your name to the Hall of Fame.
I can play hockey. I can teach classes. I'm not used to public speaking. Elaine, have you ever heard this before? It's my wife. Probably read it to her 15 times. Okay, you can hear me all right? Okay, good evening, everyone. Ooh. It's an incredible honor to stand here tonight. I want to congratulate Ross Brooks and the families of Mr. Bob O'Connor, Mr. Tom Woodcock, Mr. Buster Clegg. It is deeply humbling, and I'm proud to be in your company. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me. The work you do to preserve and celebrate Rhode Island's hockey legacy means more than you may know, and tonight for me is a perfect example of that. This honor is made even more special because I get to join some very important people who came before me. My grandfather, George Army, my younger brother, Tim, and my father, Tom Army Sr., recipient of the Chase Award in 2023. Being inducted into the same Hall of Fame is not just an honor, it's a full circle moment. Hockey has always been a part of our family's DNA, and tonight is a continuation of that legacy. When I reflect on my journey in the game of hockey, my memory recalls images of so many familiar faces, of local rinks where devotion to the game was born, and the numerous stories which keep the past alive. It was the early morning practices at the Ice Bowl, or the recently built Meehan Auditorium when I was a kid, which was built in 1961. The smell of what George Patrick Duffy called the old ice house on North Main Street, the auditorium. The new pristine look of Dudley Richards' rink the first time I stepped on the ice. It was the carpools with friends and neighbors, with Mr. Smokey Cerrone, Mr. Paul Colella, Mr. Jack Thompson, and the timeless stories and the laughs from where the smallest voice can come the loudest laugh. For example, when my father was giving a rousing speech between the second and third period to Tim's Pee Wee team, he was driving home the point. He asked if there were any questions, and all the little faces were staring up at him. My father's proud that he's had their unwavering attention. And then there's a moment of quiet before the kids attack the ice. And one player puts up his hand and he says, "Mr. Army, your fly's open." Much of what I've learned in life came from those earliest days in youth hockey and later in high school. That's where the foundation was poured. In time, that's where I learned about discipline, respect, teamwork, and how to bounce back in the face of adversity. That's where I learned that humor belongs in every locker room. It belongs in the classroom, the office, the car, the home. And that laughter plays a supporting role by alleviating tension, bridging differences, and bringing people together. These lessons, which we all value, I have tried to hone throughout my life, and my exposure to hockey was Act 1, Scene 1. Of course, later on, playing at Boston College with fellow inductee Joe Augustine was a great experience and was filled with 4 years of roller coaster memories. It was about pushing limits, forging friendships, and embracing the grind together. College and professional hockey taught me how to compete and how to be a teammate in the truest sense of the word. The game of hockey is a powerful teacher. It teaches you how to face challenges, how to take a hit and get back up without high-sticking the guy and getting a penalty, and how to celebrate others' success as much as your own. It teaches you how to relax in the face of adversity and how to keep perspective when things don't go your way. Hockey taught me to be resilient, to work hard, and to try to stay humble, and to never take this awesome game or the people who come with it for granted. Tonight is a celebration of the Rhode Island hockey community and the connections we have all forged throughout our lives. My Rhode Island hockey family is large. In my earliest impressions, aside from when Ross Brooks was warming up with the Reds and throwing snowballs at me in the stands, and here, my earliest impressions and heroes were my brother Tom and his friends and his on-ice adversaries, like Johnny Harwood, Richie Galogly, Billy Devereaux, Billy Bennett, Paul Stevenson. These are the names that harken back to me, which expanded rapidly when I began to make friends and to compete with Jimmy Bennett, and Bobby Correnti, and of course Ron, Brad, Randy Wilson, Bobby Farrelly, the Harrington brothers, Terry Farrell, the list goes on and on and on. And the family extends to those you know about and respect, but you've never met, like Bob O'Connor. Like the night I sat with Timmy and my cousin Mike Thero not long ago, and we were talking about the Hall of Fame inductees, when Mike immediately drew attention to the fact that his dad, my Uncle Harold, played on the '54 state championship team at LaSalle with OC. This speaks to the intimacy of Rhode Island hockey. You know, my nephew, Derek, Timmy's oldest, sorry, And his wife, Jenny, recently had a third child, a little girl, 7 pounds, 5 ounces, whom they named Bennett, 2 N's, 2 T's. And before settling on Bennett Elizabeth Army, Derek whimsically said that maybe her name should be Bennett Wilson Army. But I digress. There are a few family members I want to acknowledge, people who were part of shaping my life from the beginning. Of course, my father, my grandfather, and father and mother. How many rinks did my mother visit? How many games did she watch in a lifetime? And my father. My father loved the game of hockey, and he wanted everyone to see its merits and to lace up a pair of skates, grab a puck and a stick, and go play. One year, my father, in a 4-block radius in my neighborhood in East Providence, he inspired and helped build 4 backyard rinks. He loved it. My brother Tom, who spent hours on the backyard rink with me, creating games that were fun and, unbeknownst to us at a young age, exposed us to the development of our hockey skills early on. He was a natural coach and teacher. And to Tim, you all may know Tim as the professional he truly is. But don't let that pleasant, easygoing demeanor fool you. His tenacity emerged every time we played street hockey. He pushed the bar then and has done so all his life, and I enjoyed every minute of my youth with him. And my sister Beth, who is athletic in her own right, and by the way, probably has more hockey stories than all of us combined. Beth, I still have that maroon and gold scarf you knitted for me so many years ago. So again, thank you to the committee, and congratulations to my fellow inductees, to everyone who's been part of this journey. Whether you coached me, cheered me on, competed against me, or simply shared a laugh, you're all part of this honor tonight. And to my family, my wife Elaine, my children, Billy and Jess and Joey, Madeline, Lauren, and my grandkids, Stella and Elsa, for your unwavering support and love. Being able to share this moment with you means everything to me. Thank you, Rhode Island Hockey. It's been the ride of a lifetime. Let's resurface the ice and lace them up. Thank you. Thank you. Should I grab this?
I had to convince Bill he gets to take the medallion home. He said, "Can I take this?" "Yeah, it's got your name on it." Our next honoree first arrived in Rhode Island 65 years ago, eventually settling and raising his family here. Over that time, he's been engaged in every facet and at every level of the game as a player, as a youth, high school, and college coach, AHL executive and head coach, and longtime rink manager. But before we present the highlights of his hockey story, we present a video message from a longtime friend.
Thank you, Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame, for allowing me to speak about my dear friend, Ross Brooks. You've made a great selection. From the Barrie Flyers to 12 different professional teams in 6 different leagues, ultimately ending up with the American Hockey League Boston Braves being selected American Hockey League Goalie of the Year with the lowest goals against average. On to the Boston Bruins in the heyday with Bobby Orr and them. And Ross set the record 13 games in a row without a loss. At the time, it was the NHL record. But when I think of how to define him, he was the ultimate teammate. Over the years, I've been blessed to see how Bobby Orr, Wayne Cashman, and some of those other great Bruins maintained his friendship. He was very, very important to the leadership and chemistry of that team. But when I also think about what his legacy will be, it won't be those wins or that record in the American League. It'll be what he did for youth hockey. His coaching influenced so many about the right way to treat teammates, the competition, how to prepare, he was very special, and those kids will all be better people in life. And of course, the Chris Brooks Scholarship Program. For over 25 years, wonderful students received scholarships, and better yet, understood the spirit of that scholarship. Ross, you have been a great ambassador to Rhode Island hockey. Really one of the very best. On all of us that love the game, I want to thank you and wish you the many more healthy years. Your buddy, Bill.
Thank you to Bill Gilbane, former Brown hockey standout and Hall of Fame supporter, who's attending his grandson's wedding today and could not be here in person. Thanks from all of us for all you do for the game, Bill. Now please enjoy some insight into Ross Brooks' storied hockey journey.
Ross Brooks. At the age of 36, most hockey players are either looking forward towards retirement or perhaps already playing in the local senior league. Goalie Ross Brooks, on the other hand, did not make his NHL debut until the age of 36 years, 8 days, becoming the fourth oldest debuting rookie goalie in NHL history when he manned the nets for the Bruins against Buffalo, October 25, 1973. Ross was born in Toronto in 1937. He starred for 3 years with the Barrie Flyers of the Ontario Juniors before joining the Washington Presidents of the EHL in 1958, a team owned by future Reds boss Lou Peary. He hopped around for the next 6 seasons with 7 different teams before being signed by the Reds at the start of the 1965 season. Brooksy played 7 seasons in Providence, primarily as a backup for goaltending legends Ed Giacomin and Marcel Paillet, while settling and starting his family here in Rhode Island. His big break came in 1971 when Milt Schmidt signed him with the Boston Bruins, and he and teammate Dan Bouchard would immediately capture the AHL's Harry Hap Holmes Memorial Award for the lowest goals against average with the Boston Braves, the Bruins affiliate. The following season, Boston lost several goaltenders via WHA expansion and trades. The door was opened, and Brooksy confidently ran right through, matching an NHL record set in 1920 when he won 14 consecutive games in goal for the Bruins. Ross remained in Boston through 1975, before playing a strong single season with the AHL's powerhouse Rochester Americans, the Bruins' new farm team. He retired after 16 seasons and a career winning percentage among the highest recorded for goalies with 50 or more decisions. Soon after his playing days, Ross was hired in the 1976-77 season as head coach and general manager of the Reds, their last in the team's 51-year history. Ross remained a prominent figure in the Rhode Island hockey scene, conducting hockey clinics at local rinks, coaching the goaltenders at Providence College, and taking the helm at Lincoln High School, coaching his son Chris, and elevating the Lions' success in the Rhode Island Interscholastic League. In 1992, Ross was named Director of Operations with the Providence Bruins after pro hockey returned to the capital city following an 18-year absence. Brooksy's final 19 years in the game were served as rink manager of Providence College's Schneider Arena, retiring in 2021.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ross to the stage. Presenting him with his Hall of Fame medallion are his lovely daughters Kelly Brooks Crowell from Florida and Colleen Brooks Bouvier from Uxbridge, Massachusetts.
We say it loud cause we're Rhode proud. We call your name to the Hall of Fame. We call your name to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, and good evening to everybody. I must say that Mr. Gilbane, after 8 years at Brown University, does not know the numbers. However, I will correct him when I see him. But I want to thank the Hall of Fame, Vinny, and the people who voted for me. I really appreciate it. It's quite an honor and a privilege for sure. And my family who came tonight, it's something that you don't realize till you get up and do these things, but your family is here. My 2 daughters, Kelly and Colleen, Les, Stephen, Cooper, Kate, who's on the phone, Mark, and Chris, and most of all, Joyce. Thank you. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the other inductees tonight, Tommy Woodcock and Tina, who is here, Paul O'Connor, Bill Army, and Chris Clegg. It's an honor just to be in the same company as those people, plus all the people around the area here. It's quite an honor for myself, but it's an honor just to be with these people. Many miles in my life since 1937. I ran out of gas a lot of times, but I kind of filled the tank up for tonight. It's a night of thanks, and it's not a night about me. It's the people who are responsible for myself standing here. All of these people helped me along the way, and without them, you never succeed. It started in Toronto with the THL, Toronto Hockey League. You start as a kid, you play all your way up. And then Barrie Flyers, played there for 3 years. The Reds, I came here in 1959, invited by Buster Clegg, with a letter stating you want to come to training camp. And then on to Philadelphia for a couple of years, and then back with the Reds through 1971. Then my chance came, the chance of a life, to be asked to go and play somewhere else. I was released by the Reds, didn't know what I was going to do, but the phone rang. And I can thank a couple of people right away. Murray Davison, who was in Oklahoma City, and asked me if I would be interested in coming out there and finish the season, because that was in February. And I did. And the next year, I go to training camp and get asked to play with the Braves in Boston, and then finished my career with the Bruins for a couple of years, and then finished up in Rochester. It just meant that I played all over the place. People ask me how many places you played, and I would just say, name a town. And according to Bill, I was 13 teams, it was 14. But the Reds in 1977, I was asked to coach and become the general manager, which I knew absolutely nothing about. And it only took me 6 months to get them out of town. They went to Binghamton, New York. And Bob Tiernan was responsible for that. They tried to keep the franchise alive, but it wasn't going to work. They were going to lose their shirt, and so they had to actually sell the team. And then I coached Lincoln High School, which was probably one of the best things I ever did. The kids there were amazing, and it was so much fun. And you taught them what you thought was right. We had rules, and you had to go by the rules. and I think that made a lot of things happen. The kids themselves, we had a reunion a couple of years ago. We had a championship team. We had 16 kids show up out of 20. 3 of them had other obligations, and 1 we could not get a hold of. But 16 kids come, and we had a great afternoon. I even invited the principal of the school to come and talk to the kids after all those years. And you talk about rewarding. That's what it was. And playing, you know, the last year in Rochester was fun. We had a lot of good times, but it was the end of an era for me. And a quick story about that with the Reds. We're playing in Rochester, and Dave Creighton is the coach. Buster was the general manager. And we're getting beat by them about 6-7-1. And Dave Creighton says, you're going in. I said, well, Marcel's doing fine. He's okay, he's fine. I'm arguing with him on the bench about going into play in the 3rd period. We're getting killed. So anyway, finally he calls Marcel off, and I have to go in. Bruce Hood is the referee. So I said, hey, can I get a couple of shots? I don't play, you know, can I? No, you don't get shots. I said, come on, get a couple of shots. So he throws the puck down. He's mad. He throws the puck down, and they take 2 shots. They both went in. So the face-off's in our end. So he goes to the face-off, and I'm going like this to him. He comes over. Now he's mad. What the frig do you want now? I said, do me a favor. Will you ask Creighton if he wants me to win it or tie it? Honestly, he went back to the face-off like this. He was laughing. But that's the fun you have with these things. There's no question. And there's so many people responsible, as I said before. That's why I'm standing here. And we start with 2 people, Mom and Dad. All the times they took you to the rinks early, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, driving 30, 40 miles in Ontario, going to a Nobleton rink, which was below 0 when you got there. And that meant so much to you and to me now, because I know what they went through and did that for me. And that's what I'm saying is standing here, it's because of people like that. You don't forget. Buster Clegg gave me a chance, come down and play in Providence. Murray Davison gave me a chance to go to Oak City, only because Milt Schmidt said, if you want them, get them. Harry Sinden was terrific to me too, signing 2 contracts with him, and also he was responsible for when we had games at the Civic Center. You know, we promoted the games with Boston, Montreal, whoever, and he was totally responsible for that. My teammates that I played with, you can't name them all, they were all great. Walking into the Bruins room and seeing your name on a plate, it's like you can't believe what it is. The coaches that played over the years, the guys were terrific. Played with some guy named Orr. And besides playing with them, he's been such a great friend to Joyce and I over the period of time to this day. We don't talk a lot, we don't see each other a lot, but we're together. People ask me all the time, you know, what's he really like? And I'll tell you what I think. I think he's a better person than he was a player. That's what I feel about him. And I've been blessed to play in this game a long time, and it's because of the people and the friends I've met. The fun of playing hockey is something else. It's tough, it's hard. You get coaches yelling at you, screaming at you, You can't stop a football some nights. But there's a lot of fun involved too. And that's where the camaraderie comes in. Typical Bruins story, talking about fun. I won't name the players, that wouldn't be fair. Driving up Route 1 in Saugus, get pulled over by the police. They had to be speeding or whatever. They get giving them a lot of baloney. They take them and they put them in the precinct, and they put them in jail. And they start commotion. I want to make a phone call, I want to call this, I want to call it. Of course, the police knew who they were, so they let them make a phone call. They go back in the cell and they sit down, they don't say a word. 20 minutes later, the guy comes to the desk and says, do you have these two guys here? Yeah. Who are you? He said, I have their Chinese food order. They bought Chinese food for the whole precinct. They gave him an escort home. But when I look at back at this privilege honor, it's because of all the people that have been in my company over the years. And there's so many that you can't say because you would be slighting somebody, but they know who they are. And it's, family, coaches, teammates, fans, radio people, TV people who do things for you. And it's just a pleasure that these people take their time out of their lives to do things for you. And so that's why this journey is possible, because of that. It's called friendship. The friendship you make in life is everything. And think about it. The friendships that you let go hurt. Hockey has taught me a lot. Success, definitely failure, but most of all, humility. Because of all you people that are here tonight, it's humbling that I'm standing here, believe me. My dad, God rest his soul, taught me as a kid, and I'll never forget it to this day. And he said to me, did you write Dale a thank you? Naturally, it was no. I didn't get around to it yet. And he'd say, okay, don't go anywhere. 5 minutes later, he'd sit down at the desk, pad, an envelope, and a stamp. And I can hear his words today. He said, it's 2 words and a 15-cent stamp, and you won't believe how far it'll get you. And it's true. And I've been given a chance by so many, as I said, but most of all, I go back to my folks who always stood by me no matter what. That is not for sale. You can't buy that. Your parents, you have kids who play. What you do for them is amazing. And they appreciate it, don't think that they don't. They may not show it sometimes, or you might get mad at them sometimes, but standing here, you know how much I appreciate what they did? They gave me a chance. When I look back at what I've known over the years and how fortunate I've been with my family, with my coaches, with everything, with Joyce, who has taken care of me and helped me out throughout my life for almost 40 years. It's been a privilege that way also. She's responsible for my outfit tonight. The shirt doesn't fit, by the way. But she's taught me respectability and be respectful, and I treasure that. I want to thank you all again for this privileged honor I've been given, and welcomed your support throughout. But in closing, I will ask you a favor, all of you. I go back to Milt, to Murray, to Harry, to teammates, whatever. Give someone in your life a chance, or a second one. It will reward you no end, and what it'll do for them, you will regard as great. But mostly, it be your rewarding yourself. So give somebody a chance. And in closing, Stanley, Georgina, Christopher, this honor is dedicated to you. God bless you, and thanks.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that. Our next Hall of Fame inductee was previously honored with the Malcolm Green Chase Trophy in 2020 for his lifetime of work organizing youth hockey programs and creating the Rhode Island Reds Heritage Society, one of the first of its kind in pro hockey and the model for many which have followed. But he accomplished so much more as a young player and visionary professional hockey executive.
Sylvester Buster Clegg. Buster Clegg had a connection to the game of hockey in Rhode Island for most of his life, and it touched all levels of the sport. Born in 1937, he was raised in rural Burrowville, eventually becoming a high school all-stater under the tutelage of Broncos legendary coach Tom Eccleston. An exceptional student, he was also named to the National Athletic Honor Society for achievement in sports and academics. Buster continued to star on defense for 4 years at the University of New Hampshire, where he was named team captain and co-MVP as a senior. After graduation, Buster impressed Rhode Island Reds owner Lou Peary with his hockey acumen and enthusiasm. He was hired as publicity director for both the team and the Rhode Island Auditorium. In 1966, he was named general manager, at the time the youngest in all of pro hockey. Most importantly, he was one of the very first to focus on U.S. collegiate hockey players as a source of professional talent. For close to 4 decades, Buster was active as a youth hockey coach, championing hockey programs on the East Bay and throughout Rhode Island. He was a founder of the Barrington Youth Hockey Association in the early 70s and among the founders of an adult team of Rhode Island amateurs that represented the state in tournaments throughout New England. Buster's knowledge of the game also saw him serve occasionally as between-periods analyst for televised Boston Bruins games. In 1999, Buster became the founding president of the Rhode Island Reds Heritage Society and the catalyst for the tremendous growth and influence of that nonprofit organization. One of the first of its kind and a model for others nationally, the Heritage Society has kept alive both the memories of the Reds' 51-season existence and the significance of the game of hockey in the sports history of Rhode Island. In 2016, Buster continued that path as one of the founding members of the Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame. Buster was previously honored with the Hall's Malcolm Green Chase Trophy, awarded for lifetime contributions of a Rhode Islander to the game of hockey.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Buster Clegg Jr. to the stage to accept on his father's behalf, presenting their dad's Hall of Fame medallion to him, our sister Ann and brothers Christopher and Patrick.
We say it loud cause we're Rhody proud. We call your name to the Hall of Fame. We call your name to the Hall of Fame.
In times like these, I think back of advice that my dad would give me, and one of the things that he would always say to me when I was preparing perhaps to make a speech or something was, just remember, be sincere, be brief, and be seated. So I'll try and do all three of those if possible. On behalf of my brothers and sister, I'd like to say thank you very much for this honor. We've always thought of our dad as a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame friend, a Hall of Fame husband, a Hall of Fame father. But his success in hockey would not have been possible without the assistance and guidance of some key people. Just as Ross mentioned, you get a chance. My dad's journey started, he had an elementary school teacher in Barville who used to take he and some classmates to Reds games on Sunday nights when he was, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old type of thing. And that's where his love affair with hockey began. Of course, the next person who really was a very important part of my dad's hockey journey was the legendary Tom Eccleston, who he played for at Barville High School. And actually, I was fortunate enough to play a year for Mr. Eck as well. And both hockey-wise and academically, my dad always thought of Mr. Eccleston as one of the most important people in his life. And finally, on my dad's journey, Lou Peary, who was the owner of the Reds, who saw something in my dad and gave him a chance, hired him as publicity director, which led to a career which culminated in him becoming, as you saw, the youngest GM in pro hockey and the Reds GM. All of my dad's success and accomplishments from hockey, from being captain and All-State in high school, to being captain and MVP when he was at UNH, to becoming the youngest GM in pro hockey, are all Hall of Fame worthy accomplishments. But in my eyes, his most Hall of Fame worthy accomplishment might be his tireless dedication to youth hockey, to growing the game, to promoting the game, to young men and women of Rhode Island. When my dad passed away last June, the outpouring of notes, texts, phone calls that we as a family received was overwhelming. Most were from former players who at some point had had the good fortune of being coached by my dad. And one of the notes that I received was so good that, and seems to sum up the youth hockey experience that my dad provided and the impact he had on a generation of youth hockey players, that it seems appropriate to share it on this occasion. And the note went like this. Dear Buster, after hearing of your dad's passing yesterday, I woke up with a heavy heart today, but I won't keep it long. The best coach I ever played for taught me tons, but he never taught me to pout. In fact, he taught me just the opposite. Picture this, January 1973. It's a snowy Tuesday night in some icebox rink in Natick or Wakefield or Lexington. Everyone's late because who schedules a Tuesday night youth hockey game an hour and a half from home in a blizzard? Well, the game starts, and due to an ill-advised and horrendous pass I make across the front of my own net, we're quickly down a goal to an inferior team. After watching me sulk for a minute, your dad yells over to me, "Stop pouting and get back on the ice before I kick your skinny ass back home myself." Buster, I just want to let you know that in no way do I string together a 50-plus year love affair watching, playing, and coaching hockey if it's not for your old man in my early life. And I wasn't alone. Buster, Chris, Pat, Leo, John, Paul, Donnie, Mark, Timmy, Teddy, Earl, Greg, the list goes on and on. There was your dad, a wife, 4 kids, a full-time day job, a fully functioning recliner, a big TV, and a fireplace at home. And yet, there he was in a freezing rink on a snow-smothered Tuesday night in January, knee-deep in a bunch of kids to which he owed nothing, turning them into men and hockey players, because that's what the man did for dozens of us, brilliantly. So if you can please pass along one last message from all those boys your dad impacted, listed above, and all the others I have forgotten, but haven't forgotten him, from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you, Mr. Clegg. Just thank you. Finally, I want to congratulate the other inductees tonight, Bob O'Connor, Tom Woodcock, my good friend Bill Army, Ross Brooks. My dad would be thrilled to be going in with gentlemen like this. And of course, to Vince Meany and the Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame, thank you so much for this incredible honor. I hope you continue to do the work of recognizing and honoring the people who make our sport and our state so great. Thank you very much.
Like the achievements of Lou Lamoriello, excuse me, over the years, Rhode Island has developed a number of coaches and executives who began as outstanding players before rising to the very highest levels of the game with legacies that will long be remembered. Our next inductee is by every measure one of them.
Robert Bob O'Connor. While Rhode Island has been known for many successful and influential coaches at all levels of the game, Bob O'Connor's name stands out at USA Hockey's headquarters in Colorado Springs, where the coach's library is named after him. Bob was born in Providence in 1935. He was a 2-time All-State forward at LaSalle Academy, leading them to the 1954 state title and named Rhode Island's top player his senior year. After serving 2 years with the U.S. Marines, Bob received a scholarship to Providence College, where he starred on a line with Lou Lamoriello, with whom he became a lifelong friend and coaching confidant. After graduation, Bob moved to Edina, Minnesota, the home of his wife, Alice. There he fell in love with coaching. Over the next 10 years, OC, as he was affectionately known, became a legendary youth hockey coach, winning the state championship at the midget, peewee, and squirt levels. He also coached at Edina High School for 25 years, amassing an amazing record of 423, 48, and 22. His reputation brought him to USA Hockey as an assistant coach for the 1984 and 88 U.S. Men's Olympic hockey teams, the 1991 and 92 USA National Men's Junior teams, and head coach or assistant for several other medal-winning USA National Women's, Juniors, and Paralympic squads. Bob served as USA Hockey's National Coach-in-Chief for 2 campaigns and Coach-in-Chief for USA Hockey's Minnesota affiliate for 14 years. Bob also led USA Hockey's Youth Council for 8 years. In 1990, he was recognized with the first of USA Hockey's 3 most prestigious national awards for his selfless dedication to enhance the sport of ice hockey in the United States, and was elected Director Emeritus of USA Hockey in 2004. Bob later scouted for the Toronto Maple Leafs, worked for the Buffalo Sabres, and was honored with the Minnesota Wild's Lifetime Achievement Award. He sadly passed away at age 80 in 2015, leaving these words: teach them to skate, teach them to pass, teach them to support each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Crested Butte, Colorado, the son of the late and great Bob O'Connor, Paul O'Connor, to accept on his father's behalf. Presenting him with his father's Hall of Fame medallion is a Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Famer himself, who was coached by his father, who also put him on his path to Providence College in his exceptional hockey career on and off the ice, Brian Burke.
Call your name to the Hall of Fame. We call your name to the Hall of Fame.
Hello, and I want to say this is an incredible honor to stand in front of this group of people here of such hockey magnitude. Brian Burke over here, one of my heroes right there, one of Bob's first protégés to come to Providence, correct? To present this award is a great honor. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank my East Coast family, the McKennas and the Devereaux for being here. It's a great honor to see you guys, and thank you so much for your support and being here. Again, I want to thank Vincent and the Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame. Thank you so much. Vincent got a hold of me last, November, and, brought me out here. I come here with my son, Coben, and we come to you from Crested Butte, Colorado. Part of our journey was flying into Boston and seeing the elders of our family, Lawrence and Helen O'Connor, 94 and 95 respectively. They asked me to say these words. Lawrence, to you, Bostonians, Larry, and Lolly to you, Rhode Islanders. And these are his words written for me to read by Helen, who was the scholar of the family and English teacher. So, here we go. And now, yes, Bob was a hockey purist. His strong feeling for the game is expressed in this quote opinion: to win the game is great. To play the game is greater. To love the game is the greatest of all. And now to add another dimension, to be inducted into the Rhode Island Hall of Fame is an epitome of his career. The O'Connor family, among others, is bursting with pride. And perhaps Bob is celebrating at the big rink in the sky and recalling the investment of time and practice which brought him his career to this level. The Hall of Fame. How often did he tell himself and his players, practice doesn't make perfect, only perfect practice does. As I look back, tragedy was all-encompassing in the O'Connor family when our mother died at the age 42, leaving her husband and 9 children. Did you know that Bob was a twin to Dickie, who at age 9, while swimming at Scarborough Beach, was trapped under the tide of a huge boulder and perished? That was a profound effect on Bob, and he turned to the salvation, which was hockey. With his first pair of skates given to him by our sister Jerry, even at a young age, he learned it's not what you do, but how you do it. While a student at LaSalle Academy, Bob was named Hockey Player of the Year, followed by a scholarship to Hebron Academy in Maine, perfecting his academic and athletic skills in preparation for Providence College. Bob was not shy with social skills either. When from the time he met Alice Brixson, a student at Wheaton College, and his life took a different but fulfilling period. It wasn't long before they married. Alice was from Minnesota, hockey country, perfect for Bob's prolific career to date. His advice was sought regularly by professional teams as well as high schools, where he found his affection for the game was contagious. You have made Helen and me immensely proud. Minnesota will be using your playbooks for some time to come. Great coaches are gifted with the ability to unlock what is bound up in there. Bob was driven to pour large amounts of energy into a single pursuit of excellence. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Farewell, my brother. You are always in our hearts, pounding with pride. Now, every time you look at a twinkling star, that's Bob smiling from afar. And if you really, really try hard, you will see that the Big Dipper is now shaped like a hockey stick. That's from Lawrence and Helen. I'd like to add a little bit of my own, if it's okay. No good man is created by himself. My mother, Alice O'Connor, needs a lot of credit here as well. She gave all the hockey as well, but not by choice and passion like Bob. She did it through marriage and devotion. She was incredible in many things, knitting, sewing, needlepoint, art, being just one of those talents. And I will always remember the needlepoint that sat at the end of the hallway to their bedroom. It read, "We interrupt this marriage for the hockey season." I think that says it all about her commitment and resolve. The two of them together taught me about community and contribution, a couple of terms and words that seem to have lost in today's society, but not in the hockey world. They are core requirements and it is what sets hockey apart from the rest of the sports and creates a family and community we have gathered here tonight. On behalf of Bob and all the OCs, I accept this award with great pride. Thank you all. Take care of one another, and good night. Thank you.
This seems like a good time to say thanks once again to our presenting partners, whose generosity and support make these annual events and all of the work of the Hall of Fame possible. Special gratitude to the Chase, Kavanaugh, and Kennedy families, and to the NHL and NHL Players Association, the Boston Bruins Foundation, and for Rhode Island Hockey and the Rhode Island Reds Heritage Society for their continuous and generous financial support. And thanks to our many program advertisers and all of you for your attendance and kind contributions this evening. Thank you. The Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame could not accomplish its mission and initiatives without your generosity and support. Like many other local kids, especially the rink rats of his era who did chores at the old Rhode Island Auditorium for ice team and our final, for ice time that is, our final inductee of the evening dreamed of playing for his beloved Rhode Island Reds. And it almost came true. But then he pivoted to another aspect of the game and became one of the most famous and respected in his profession.
Tom Woody Woodcock. Tom Woodcock was born and raised in Providence and inducted into the trainers wing of the NHL Hall of Fame in Toronto in 2003. Like his longtime friend and fellow Rhode Islander Pete Demers, who was also enshrined there 4 years later, he too was a talented disciple of Reds and Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Fame trainer George Army. Tom's journey to the Hall was more circuitous than Pete's. He was a self-described rink rat at the old Rhode Island Auditorium, which was then the center of the hockey universe in southeastern New England. A role model for his younger brothers Ed and Rolly, Tom dreamed of playing pro. He cleaned the arena ice between periods for the reward of ice time, and he became a great skater, good enough to be a 3-time All-State selection out of Hope High School. He did this despite having to leave school when his father passed away to take a job to help support the family. When he returned, he continued to shine in the classroom and on the ice, and was rewarded with a contract with the Reds, the team he so admired. The Reds farmed Woody to the Eastern Hockey League, where he skated for several teams, including the Washington Presidents. Eventually, he concluded that an NHL career was not in the cards, and he took a job as an assistant trainer under George Army with the Reds, while continuing to star on some of the best amateur teams in the region. At the suggestion of Brown hockey coach and Hockey Hall of Famer Jim Fullerton, Tom took specialized classes at the university which led to the position as trainer for Fullerton's Brown Bears hockey team and a manager of Brown's Meehan Auditorium. When NHL expansion came in 1967, Bruins GM Lynn Patrick came calling to hire him as head trainer for the St. Louis Blues, a position he held for 16 years, including 3 trips to the Stanley Cup Final. In 1983, when the WHA's Hartford franchise moved to the NHL, Tom was lured back to New England, where he spent 7 seasons. The final stop in his career took him to San Jose in 1991, when friend and Rhode Island's own Jack Ferreira took over the GM reins of the expansion Sharks. Tom's final NHL training camp was his 40th. Over that time, he served in over 3,000 NHL regular season and playoff games. Tom sadly passed away in 2022.
Ladies and gentlemen, accepting for Tom is his loving and devoted wife, Tina. Presenting Woody's Hall of Fame medallion is his lifelong friend and fellow NHL legend and Hockey Hall of Fame trainer, Pete Demers.
We say it loud cause we're Rhody proud. We call your name to the Hall of Fame. We call your name to the Hall of Fame.
I'm going to give Dale a game-winning assist right here, if I look at my time. Yeah, and keep this super short. So on behalf of the Woodcock family, I would like to congratulate the other inductees tonight, as well as accept this on behalf of my Uncle Tom. He'd be very proud, and I'd just like to say thank you.
Again, thank you all very much, and thank you. Thanks, guys.
Before we close the evening, we'd like to ask all of our honorees to join us on stage for a Class of 2025 photo wearing your Hall of Fame jerseys and holding your Hall of Fame medallions. Once all of our honorees are grouped on stage, everyone is welcome to approach if you care to take photos. Please remember to pick up your winning silent auction items with your Class of 2025 posters at the auction table. And for all of tonight's donors, please claim your Dr. Simi Hockey Hall of Fame gifts and posters in the lobby as you exit. Thank you all. We hope to see you here again next year with the enshrinement of the 2026 class. Good evening, safe travels, wherever you're headed. Thank you very much for being here.